Hello and welcome everyone back to another brand new Motogp 23 video. Now today Milestone have put out a full press release all about their new career mode, the renewed career mode. Now I'm going to briefly read through some of this. I'm going to skip over some of the parts I don't think are as important. There's a few screenshots down below that I have a brief look at. I'm going to just pick through the jargon and see what we're actually going to get with the new season. So from the few screenshots I've seen, I'm actually quite optimistic for this one, but we're going to jump straight in. This opening bit here, hello riders, all this, I'm going to skip that because that's just explaining kind of what's about to happen. This debut season, I'm going to read this, is quite interesting. So it starts out, you will start from the final part of the Moto3 Championship as a newcomer. So you come in as a rookie midway through the Moto3 Championship. The rookie who will forge his own path, blah blah blah. We choose to set this as a starting point, make it easier compared to starting in GP. You'll be able to get familiar with the mechanics, blah blah blah. This debut season will decide your future. If you either stay in Moto3 if your performance does not live up to expectations, so if you do poorly in your, we'll say, your wildcard standing rides, you will get, it's kind of like they've gone back to what they used to do, where you get like 4 races in a season, then you get a full season, but you get like only like mid, low or high tier Moto3 offers. So that's kind of interesting that we're not going to just get like back in Moto3 teams or that kind of way, that they've actually, you can kind of control your own career mode from the start. You can either stay in Moto3 if your performance does not live up to the expectations, move up to Moto2 if you do well enough, or even go big and get called to race in MotoGP. It is you as a completionist. You might want to challenge every possible ride in every category. If you're eager to race side by side with MotoGP legends instead, then you have hard work and prove your worth. So basically it's saying that at start your career mode you can go and do your couple of races Moto3 in your stand-in season. Then you can kind of decide where you want to go with it depending on how you actually did. So it's nice to see that we're not being locked down straight away to like a back of the grid Moto3 team that's really underpowered and you need to kind of just struggle for a few races. It's nice to, if we want to progress through the season a bit quicker, we can. Turning points. Once your debut season ends, well, this is where the real fun begins. Every choice matters. That's why we decided to add the so-called turning points until the very end of career mode. They are key decision-making moments in the game that will affect your career throughout every single chapter. While you can see a chapter as a big picture with a mid-long-term objective to complete, turning points are the main beats that forge your entire path and determine a variety of scenarios you can find yourself in. So essentially your turning points are going to be scenarios that approach you, and depending on which way you go, you can follow other people. I presume this is what we're going to get here in a second when I read it through, but it's giving a bit more depth. I do like it. The fact that maybe there's a bit more in stake. You're not just riding around versus 23 computer controlled other bikes trying to win a race. You actually have some off track action to get into. It's a bit more, brings the whole spirit of MotoGP towards the front. Don't underestimate them, because even through main turning points will show up at the end of each chapter. Every decision you make during the career mode counts and can lead to different outcomes. The bike you choose to ride, the power-ups you want to implement on it. So I think power-ups to mean like upgrades. So if you want to develop the frame, chassis, braking, all that kind of thing. I don't actually think there's power-ups. I believe it's just kind of maybe a weird translation. How you behave with other riders through social interaction. So again, there will be the social media kind of aspect of, we've seen these in the trailers where you can kind of go back and forth with other riders on the social aspect of it. So that will be probably a big way where you can fall out with people and teams, as well as also get on people's good side. So it's an extra mechanic to think, but at the same time you can really like piss off Honda or piss off KTM, and you can really kind of Marquez to Yamaha, where like that's never going to happen. You're never going to get that option, but we'll see how actually in depth it goes. Step by step, chapter by chapter, the choice will make you shape you as a rider in one way or another. The career could be very different for every player because of these decisions. This is correct, but again, I think it might be as different as we all think. I think I have a feeling, right, from reading this, that like if I want to ride for Ducati, I just suck up to Pecco and kind of play with him on Twitter, and I can just, I think that it's going to be just like favouring up to a team to get it to ride for them and get friendly with them. But you never know, maybe there's actually more on-track battles that will actually come of this, and maybe I'm being kind of 2D minded about it, but I think maybe it just is a way of picking your team. But for now, I'm a bit skeptical whether that'll actually work the way they're kind of saying it will here, but we'll see. I suppose there's only like 10 days to release in it, so we don't have to wait that much longer. Let's make an example by using the debut season. As I said, it's common prologue for all players, a very brief chapter in which you're tasked to finish ahead of Ryushi Yamanaka within the penultimate GP of the season. If you're successful, the game offers you a specific turning point. Challenge the Moto3 world champion Diego Moreira and beat him. By doing so, you will earn the attention of the MotoGP teams. Your results speak for themselves. You are a promising young rider worthy of a MotoGP category. Jack Miller-esque back in 2013. He came up in 14, so he went straight Moto3 to GP. He's one of two riders. The South African Darren Binder's the only other one, and that was kind of a contract one that they couldn't get out of. But anyway, so from Moto3 you can jump directly into MotoGP, race side by side with the bests. Again, taken out of Italian there, that doesn't make exact sense, but we'll leave him off. And try to be the next world champion. So again, it's just showing that you can leapfrog yourself in career if you are a exceptional rider. So again, it's nice that you're not being like you can in previous careers you could win the first 15 races and then you get like a mid-tier offer from like a speed up in Moto2, and you're like, well, if I just did that in real life, every team in the paddock, every team in Superbikes, every team all over the world want my signature. So it looks like maybe this year they've kind of realized that if you are an exceptional talent, you can actually get the recognition, which is quite interesting. But what happens if you can't beat Yamanaka? Jesus, his name is not easy to say. What if you can't beat Yamanaka first? You still don't have what it takes to be promoted to MotoGP, but your efforts have been acknowledged nonetheless. Thus, the game will give you a similar turning point as before, but not against Diego Moreira. The challenge will be simpler. If you win, you will get the chance to pass the Moto2 category. You didn't go big, but you still made a step forward and climbed to your top. This is your first turning point, and throughout your career you'll experience different ones, each with equally differing results. So again, it's just showing that depending on how it happens, it shapes your career. It's a good feature brought in. I hope it works well, and it's not something that doesn't work as they intended. A lot of milestones feature when they bring them in don't really work the way they should, but hopefully it can overall live up to the way they're kind of bigging it up to be. So social interactions. You've noticed that I mentioned social interactions. Yes, we wanted not only for the game to be emergent and dynamic, but also add a sense of responsibility. Social interactions could be a more modern topic. What you say, how you say it, and how you behave will have consequences. This happens in MotoGP 23 too, because rivalries can arise precisely from how you behave toward other riders. Are you a sassy type? Ooh. Then expect your on-track rivals to be more aggressive, trying to outdo you and conquer the first position at any cost. On the contrary, being more accommodating gives you some space during the races, but remember that the other riders are here to compete. They won't be too aggressive, but they still try to perform you and win. These are what we call short-term consequences. There will also be long-term consequences determined by your reputation, which in turn depends on your social interactions. Having a bad reputation means it will be difficult for you to be hired by a specific manufacturer. On the other hand, having good reputation can lead to receiving a bit of a discount when you want to join a manufacturer, since you need a certain amount of reputation to join a manufacturer. Being nice could be a good idea. So we get our first screenshot here. I just click into it, so you can see with home rider team and then paddock and bike development. We have here what it would be your player Martin, so we're unhappy with, or well, Frankie's unhappy with us. Alex Marquez loves us. Vinales content, Zarco content, Aleix consent, Luca Marini not happy. So it looks like the VR46 boys don't like me, and the Marquez brothers like me. So it's very split. Reputation of teams. Check the status required to race in the various teams and contract offers available. So again, that's obviously the worst of the worst. You're like the devil to them. So Marcus to Yamaha, like I said, Rossi to Honda kind of way. And that's probably like, you could go Pekka to Ducati, where like they always wanted him. Jack Miller to KTM, that kind of strong bond was always there. But it's interesting to see what we can actually see. We actually have these meters in the game now. You can see up here, look, game experience competitive. So obviously you can make it a bit more simplistic if need be, if you don't want these really complex items in the game, which is good. They give you the option. Most modern games do, but it is nice to see that you can actually there's actually more pictures in this than that. Oh, actually, yeah, so there's more. Sorry, I didn't realize this. But anyway, the status of team leader is very important for a team, and it will be blah blah blah. So this is just like it's kind of a social media aspect. So you can see here Martin as well. Just you can see the Motogp wall. So again, this is what we got in previous ones. Then the next one, you can see choose which you will race for. So again, this is where you go for picking which team. So it shows off all their kind of attributes at the moment. Their star rider, team leader, their objectives. I really like the UI in this year's game, to be honest. It really is a bit clean. Then you have your folders here of all teams. You can see with their tire wear, the fuel consumption. So it's quite in depth. I'm actually quite impressed with what Milestone have done this year for this so far. Again, keep going back to it though. Once it works in game, I'll be very happy. But until we get that, we'll see. So in terms of dynamism, having a good reputation is crucial, as it affects not only the way other riders react, but also the goals assigned to the player by the team. And beware, failing to achieve them could lead to dismissal at the end of the season. This is only the surface of where the social interactions could lead you, but I'm sure I gave you an idea of how it works. Along with the turning points, they keep a storytelling dynamic, fluid and full of surprises. Our goal with the Motogp 23 Emerging Career is to shift players' focus from the team manager to the rider, which is actually really a solid point there. If you think of it, we've kind of been like a rider manager for most of the career, so this one we're more in the rider's position, where we have to deal with other riders on the social side. We have to deal with teams and manufacturers, so it's quite more actually a rider career, which it is kind of a good step forward. I like what they say there. So again, a good point in that. So in order to give you the full differential point of view from past, blah blah blah, emerging dynamics. But that's not all. To add more realism, there are now only 2 spots available in each manufacturer. To prove your worth and secure one of those top spots, you must compete with the official riders and take their place. For example, to become a teammate at Ducati, you must first prove yourself at satellite teams like Gresini, Pramac or VR46. If you want such manufacturer, you still have to catch their attention, demonstrate your value to the team. However, keep in mind that even if you're a MotoGP legend, and not every team will be interested in signing you. As I mentioned before, your relationship with a specific manufacturer, which is influenced by your interactions with its riders, will determine how challenging it will be to secure a contract with them. So, it shows actually you can't just rock up one year and take Pecco's seat. You actually have to go up through the ladders. Like, so you'll probably come in, you won't get factory sheets straight away, which is, I like that. It's making the career a bit harder, which I like. Another example of the emerging dynamics is that the newly entered teams, Gas Factory Racing, setting achievements goals in the top 15. If you manage to get to the top 10 before the summer break, a turning point is proposed where you can earn the same bike as developed as a KTM official team. So that's pretty cool. So if you outperform your equipment, the manufacturer will upgrade you to the same as the factory team, provided you can continue to perform well in the next races. Regarding bike development, in every team there are only 2 individuals responsible for developing the bike: the first rider and the leader of the manufacturer. As a second rider, you rely on their decisions at least until you can surpass them and take their positions. Becoming a first rider and eventually take the lead manufacturer will become your goals. I like that. Very true to real life. Pecco will be the one making decisions in real life, along with Bastianini. Zarco's input will be listened to, but they're not going to go out down his route. Same with Martin, Luca, Marini and Bezzecchi, and of course Alex Marquez and Digi as well. They'll all be listened to, but they're really going to focus on Pecco and Bastianini and where the bike's going to go. So that is a nice little insight into what we can expect. Again, I didn't skip that picture. We see there more of this, so I actually can't click into this. So there isn't any other picture. So again, you get your manufacturers here, affinity with riders, so probably increases the chance, it seems, compatibility. So maybe in this terms it looks like I'm good friends with Pecco, maybe I'm not great friends with Bastianini, so they don't want me as much. I could be good friends with Bezzecchi and Marini, so they might actually be interested in me. So it's going to take a while, but it's actually going to really add a bit of longevity, I think, to this career mode. I really think it actually could be potentially one of the better ones in recent times. Let's delve deeper into what another example. You're part of Team Gresini as a second rider. You are faced with a choice between 2 bikes, Type A and Type B. They are different, but nobody asked you if you wanted one area of the bike to be more developed than the others. As a second rider, you can only choose a bike that others have supervised for you in terms of development. That's why you need to become the first rider to supervise at least one bike's development. Then you will have the opportunity to customize your bike according to your preferences, as long as you have the necessary development packs, which you earn race by race. Being a first rider is good for sure, but we all know there is only ultimately one state we want, and that is the leader manufacturer, none other than Pecco Bagnaia. Being a leader manufacturer means that you can supervise both Type A and Type B, climbing the internal hierarchies and taking charge of the team's technical development during testing other turning points the games offer. In the manufacturer's hierarchy structure, you can become the second or first rider, but the ultimate goal is to become the leader of the manufacturer. So again, the higher you are in the team. So if you look at, we'll say Fabio, he will control everything. I see, what other teams could you think of? Suppose KTM did listen to Brad, obviously Pecco. Mark isn't Honda would. You're not going to surpass him quite easily, the way I would look at it. Where did I finish here? You want Type A to be more probable, Type B to have a better chassis, because you heard that Yamaha is one step ahead on this, and this is not good for you. Keeping an eye on other teams, because crucial is the request for success. Now, I like this overlook here. We have the teams, very like the F1 a couple of years ago. I like the way it shows fuel consumption, tyre wear, it shows where everyone's at in terms of everything. Shows pretty decent amount of information here. I really like this bike development screen, I must say. I'm actually hoping now, right, that the physics in this game are good, because I could sink so many seasons into this game if this is what the career mode is going to be like. A quite interesting little aspect here we have. So we're near the end of it here. We're going to just finish up and I'll give my final thoughts. I'm sure you figured out by now, technical developments also apply to the AI managed teams, whose bikes start with basic parameters and progress as technical developments advances. This progression can lead to unpredictable consequences for the classifications each season. Opponents will change their performance every time depending on the bikes they are racing with and how they fared in previous seasons. These changes will impact the hierarchies within the teams, resulting in each season being different from the others. There's a lot to keep an eye on during your career, so be sure not to rest on your laurels. A different approach. To sum it up, Motogp 23 offers an opportunity to pursue a more vertical approach by climbing the internal hierarchies within a single manufacturer, allowing you to customize both of the bikes. Alternatively, you can offer a horizontal approach by transitioning from team to team. The choice is yours. There is no single path to becoming a Motogp legend. Despite starting from a common point such as your debut season, each player's journey can be entirely unique. The diversity was our goal during the game's development, and we can't wait for you to see how you forge your path. See you on track June 8, PC and consoles. So, recap, pretty big changes. It's not it's a lot more than I expected, to be honest. When I started reading this, I thought I'd just be like, oh, this is how you hire for a team, but there actually seems to be a lot of dynamics, and these turning points and the social interaction seem to have a lot of impact. So I hope and pray really that the game is as good as this kind of presentation makes it look, because I'm actually quite excited for this. If this is the way it's going to go, that you can actually follow out riders, and it seems to make a big difference, and you can't just rock up and take the factory Ducati seat from Pecco or to take the factory Honda from Mark. It looks like you actually need to put a bit of work into getting where you want. So I always felt like with the career modes, you could just jump around seat to seat, take whatever seat, you're a top rider, you just go anywhere. Now it seems you need to plan a little bit more who you want to ride for, and you need to kind of go about going for that team. You can't just jump into bed with them. Like, you have to actually work your way towards riding for that team, and maybe start in the lower teams and get promoted to the factory team. And the fact as well that you can get factory equipment in a satellite team if you're doing good enough. What a feature. Again, a lot of things here are like real life, and I'm really starting to like it. I'm just hoping that the gameplay and the physics are as good as we need these to be, because this really, right, this could be one of the better GP games. If this all comes together, could be the best, dare I say it. If this all comes together with some good physics and maybe some good online as well, that could literally round off a very decent MotoGP game. So pretty excited after reading this. I just really hope it lives up to the hype this has given it. But I'm going to end it there. My voice is about to go. I've read way too much, made so many mistakes, but anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you have enjoyed. Let me know in the comments down below what you make of all of this here. I will post the link to this again if you want to read through it without me talking over it and actually read it word for word as they said. I summarize some of it and skip some bits, but pretty happy with it. I'm looking forward to it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is it just going to be something we get sick after one season? Is it going to add some replayability to the career mode? Are you going to play more seasons? What do you think of it? Is it going to be what we needed for career mode? Is it enough? Is it not? Let me know in the comments. So thank you for all tuning in today. See you soon. Catch you in another video. Bye bye.